Tonight, Ann Widdecombe takes on the Hoodies.
Hi, guys.
Oh, don't want to know you.
Don't you?
No.
But do you ever think that when you're in hoods, people might be scared of you?
Yep.
Fighting back for the forgotten victims.
Welcome to Britain in 2007, where people live surrounded by squalor outside and fear inside.
A week on the front line.
I've talked tonight to a so-called anti-social behaviour team. They've no powers beyond that of a citizen's arrest. They appear to spend their entire time in stairwells noting down the litter. I'm really sorry for the people who live on this estate.
Good evening. Conservative MP Ann Widdecombe is one of Westminster's highest-profile MPs. She's been campaigning for a long time on behalf of those she calls the forgotten decents, the law-abiding people who live in fear of anti-social behaviour. So, with that in mind, the Tonight programme invited the former Conservative minister to spend a week on two of London's toughest estates. She wanted to experience just what it's like to live in areas which the residents describe as virtual no-go zones, and to confront the gangs of hoodies whose presence adds to the climate of fear. This is what she found.
There are parts of Britain where yobs rule. Yes, that's right, where hoodies run riot. And the decent, law-abiding majority live in fear. According to a recent study, Britain's youths are among the worst behaved in Europe. Our 15-year-olds are drunk more often, involved in more fights, and take illegal drugs at an earlier age. And it's this sort of behaviour that frightens the residents of the Andover Estate in North London and the Myatts Fields in Lambeth, South London. Those areas have a feeling of menace. Fireworks are sometimes used as weapons. And the police can come under attack too. Windows are broken. There's graffiti and kids out on the rampage late at night. There are hoodies, some of whom get stoned on the stairwells. These aren't pleasant places, where the forgotten decents live in fear behind bars.
I'm frightened to even walk outside the door, even after 3 o'clock. Afraid of being mugged and robbed. I'm fed up with it.
I've actually tried to sell my property on a number of occasions, and on one occasion somebody actually came to view the property and got mugged.
It's a sad reflection on society that the Andover and Myatts Fields are not alone. Every day I despair at reading about Yob Britain, where people like us want to live normally, but instead their lives are made a daily hell by drugs, thuggery and intimidation. Tony Blair says that he's introduced measures to tackle antisocial behaviour. But are they delivering? Well, I'm going to face the living reality of that question by living for a week on 2 hard-pressed estates. So will it be as bad as the newspapers make out? I'm leaving Westminster and heading for North London, Islington, famously home of the chattering classes and home to Tony Blair before he moved to Downing Street. Ooh, it all looks rather charming on the surface, but there's another side. The London Borough has one of the highest crime rates in the country. Prostitution, drugs, guns, it's all here. Oh, this is a dump, and this is what we ask people in Britain to live in the 21st century. But secondly, the whole ambience is just very nasty, very threatening, generally very tatty, lots of dark corners. I certainly wouldn't want to live here permanently. Indeed, I don't see why anybody should be required to put up with this. Oh, I'm glad I don't have to go up one of those. Probably broken. I'm staying with a family who have a terrible tale to tell. They've been so in fear that they have their own police alarm. They've been threatened, attacked, intimidated. Well, I must say, this bit is pretty intimidating. You don't know if there's anybody actually in the doorways until you're level with them. You just don't know. Ah, Thurleston Walk at last. Looks as if this is the sort of place where the law-abiding stay behind bars and grills. Hello,
Hi.
are you Mrs. Spall?
I am.
I'm
Pleased
Ann
to meet
Widdecombe.
you.
Hello, pleased to
Come
meet you. The Spall family have lived here for 20 years, but last year they felt compelled to improve the security of their home. Have you actually ever been invaded?
Yes,
Yeah?
we have.
What happened?
We had a masked man in the garden about 2 years ago.
Did he actually do anything more?
He was shouting out, "I'm going to kill you."
Really?
It was
Yeah.
not for me.
And that's not all. Well, have you ever been mugged?
I have been mugged, yeah. I
Have
got
you?
mugged outside our back garden about 3-4 years ago now. They didn't actually take anything. I knew that the guy was following me.
That's actually deliberate. You don't carry things on you when you go out.
I don't usually go outside with a huge amount of money on me.
When you go out, you leave money, credit cards.
We usually don't go out alone. We usually go out in twos.
Yeah.
We're on here.
You say you sometimes feel intimidated when you go out. I mean, are there people visibly around, hoodies or youngsters?
You get youngsters with hoods on, and you do feel.
And you find
rather-
hoods intimidating?
Yes, I think you do.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the first day, and I've heard quite enough, I think. Probably enough to last a lifetime. I expected to hear these things, but I think it's always a bit of a shock when you actually come face to face with it in reality. I've come to the Andover because it's one of London's most notorious housing estates. It's badly designed, and for years it's had a reputation of prostitutes plying their trade, drug dealers hanging out, muggings being common. But the police have clamped down on a lot of it, and the council are planning a major rebuilding programme with better security. But until all that comes into force, it's known as a place where gangs of hoodies love to roam in its eerie square and isolated walkways. So after I went to bed, did anything happen? Well, there were young children throwing pavement slabs about, and some older kids were still up. Where are their parents, I asked myself. Well, a quiet night, I have to report that no masked men tried to break into my bedroom, and I'm being given a tour of the estate.
The gentleman here has got a lovely garden, or had a lovely garden, but someone climbed over and poured acid on it. Now he hasn't got no garden.
People blame this mindless behaviour on the local youths, and there are regular fights between gangs in the main square.
This is the central square where the turf war is, because it's actually in the middle of the estate, and it's hard for police to get access. Sometimes it's girl on girl, sometimes it's girl on boy. I think they all just mix in. One night, 150 kids from off the estate joined onto this estate, and they had a turf war where hair was ripped out. And,
Hair was ripped out?
Yeah. And one morning, the lady in the community centre came into work and saw people's hair hanging from the railings and so on.
We've had attempted rapes, we've had muggings, knifings, we've actually had someone shot in a car. The elderly themselves feel obviously very insecure, and obviously the youth problems.
What are the youth problems?
Youth problems are lack of amenities. While we are improving on some of the youth amenities, not all children want to do a certain type of thing. We have a problem with overcrowding. Youth don't want to stay in their homes, they come out. They make people feel uncomfortable.
The estate does have 2 youth centres funded by the local council and football training run by Arsenal Football Club. So there should be plenty to keep them occupied. And it's at this point I come across my first hoodie. Why do you like your hood?
Because 1, it's cold, 2, just the attraction in it. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
What does it make you feel when you're in your hood?
Safe.
You feel safe in your hood. Do you think it makes other people feel safe?
Don't know, don't really care about other people, to tell the truth.
You don't?
It's not my, it's like I wear my hood for me, not other people.
Do you think you might scare old ladies?
I always smart old ladies.
You always smile at them. There are also reports of dog baiting on this estate. Oh, gracious me, is that blood?
Possibly is. I mean, you can't be sure. It could even be a dog. An awful lot of dogs on the estate.
Not a very healthy one.
No, not in the least bit.
So why do these young people wear hoodies? Is there a sinister reason behind it? Why do you like your hood?
I don't know, but...
Eh? Do you ever think that maybe when you're in hoods that... I mean, you're just talking to us quite normally, but do you ever think that when you're in hoods people might be scared of you?
Yep.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're wearing hoods and they don't like hoods for some reason. They're shook. People are scared.
I don't know why though.
Does that ever make you want to take your hoods off?
Nope.
No, why's that?
Why? They're scared of us.
Do you like them to be scared of you?
Yep.
You don't, come on.
Yep.
Why do you want them to be scared? You don't want to scare old ladies, do you?
Not old ladies, obviously.
No, who do you want to scare?
People that scare me.
Who are they?
Cold.
When I walk through different estates, people put on their hoods for me, so when people walk from my estate, I've got on my hood for them.
It's people like Joan Ford who are particularly afraid of the local hoodies who hang round near her home. She's been terrorised by them and sits indoors during the day with her curtains closed. Her house has been vandalised, fireworks aimed at her windows, and her son beaten up. It looks a bit dirty on your door.
It does, because I've got
What's
all
been
eggs.
happening?
I've had the kids throw all the eggs all over the door and also over the kitchen window.
Why
all
do they do
egg
that?
shit.
Have they got a particular grudge
Well,
against you?
and I asked them to leave or stop throwing stones at the window. Then you start getting thrown eggs at you.
I think, to be honest with you, it's disgusting.
Do you live here, Michael?
No, ma'am, I have to come down here because Joan is my sister and I tried to give her moral support because there's times that she rings me up at home and she's at her tether's end with all the trouble. There's gangs living around here and they're mainly out to disturb the tenants.
So what about the antisocial behaviour team?
Yeah, I've told her all about it. Every time I get a complaint like the door is being kicked in or they're throwing stones, she turns around and tells me that she hasn't got time to come out and see to it. That she said, just ring me up or go and buy a camera yourself.
Go and buy a camera
Yes,
yourself.
that's
what
what I
the
said.
antisocial behaviour team. Go and buy a camera yourself. Islington Council deny this. They say their antisocial behaviour team has worked with Joan Ford over the past year, and they've also spoken to her neighbours to see if they can help identify those responsible. And the team did install a video camera for a short time, which was passed to the police a year ago. But despite this, Joan Ford's problems continue. What is the one thing that if you could have done, you would have done that might change it?
The one thing that would have changed, Mrs. Whittaker, with all due respect, is that when you phone for the authorities, they come.
They come.
They don't tell you to go and buy yourself a camera, take photographs, and they don't turn around and say to you, get their names and addresses. And because you know as well as I do, if she was to go outside and try to get a name and address, she's liable to be stabbed in the back.
And Joan's not the only one. A walk around one of the tar blocks and I spoke to lots of people who are too scared to go on camera, telling me the same story time and again. They're simply petrified to go outside. Well, welcome to Britain in 2007, where people live surrounded by squalor outside and fear inside. I've just talked to a lady who hasn't been outside her home alone for 2 whole years. The police have increased their patrols on this estate, but many residents I spoke to feel they would benefit from around-the-clock police presence. You're not here all night. Nobody's here all night. What do you say to that?
I would love to have 24-hour patrols, but it's not realistic. We change our shifts. Currently we work, our set pattern is from 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night, but we do change our shifts regularly. I think one good example of that would be this time last year, we were trying to deal with the Class A drug misuse on the estate. We did many night shifts. We came in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and worked through to try and address those problems, and I'm pleased to say it worked.
Nevertheless, people have to put up with all sorts of behaviour.
Now and again you come out and you find some excrements outside.
Excrement?
Yes, outside your door.
So what do the local council's team of anti-social behaviour officers actually do? Well, I went out on patrol with them one night to see their work on the Andover Estate. From what I saw, though, they were mainly taking photos of the litter. Are you aware of a door which perpetually has eggs thrown at it?
Sorry?
You know eggs?
Yeah.
Are you aware of a door here that the kids are always throwing eggs at?
You know, what we do when we come out on a patrol, we look around, you know, we look for, like, you know, stuff like evidence, like throwing eggs and...
But you're not aware of specific trouble spots?
Of a particular spot like that, no.
You wouldn't be aware of that?
Not of all individual problems, no.
And it's like when we're out on patrol, we're always asking people, like, we're giving out leaflets, we carry leaflets around, so we give that to residents, like any kind of problems like that, to give us a call, and we'll have the ASB officers, you know, responding to the calls.
The council say this team support the police by collecting evidence and being visible in the community, including reporting on environmental problems such as litter. Their role is not one of law enforcement. I've talked tonight to a so-called anti-social behaviour team, who, when they meet young kids smoking cannabis, tell them to go and smoke it somewhere else. That's their approach to antisocial behaviour. They've no powers beyond that of a citizen's arrest. They appear to spend their entire time in stairwells noting down the litter. I'm really sorry for the people who live on this estate.
2 and 1, 21.
Next day, I'm at the local bingo, and it's the same old story. So what happens when you leave here? So safety in numbers. Yep. And if they saw some young people hanging about, how would you feel if you sort of just came upon them and there was any one of you? Would that worry you?
I would go another way.
Would you? But you wouldn't, would you? Because you're a man. Would you worry?
Yeah, but I'd still walk away. Yeah.
You'd still walk away.
I want to turn around and go, mate. I don't want to go between them.
Well, while they were playing bingo, I went outside to see for myself what some of the old folk are worried about. Hi, guys.
Oh, don't want to know you.
Don't you?
No.
What about those old ladies down in the bingo hall?
Don't give two
You realise that when you may just think you're having a bit of fun, but when you stand up here, congregating like that, they get a bit nervous. Does that bother
listen,
you?
love, them old ladies know me, so boy, come man, let's roll in it. Come man, this is long. I ain't standing there getting video clips and I'm trying to flip out. But...
No, I'm just asking you.
Yeah, well, don't be asking questions.
Don't be asking questions? OK.
Silly questions.
Certainly silly answers. Back at the bingo, and they're all going home together. Meanwhile, I stumbled across kids in a suspicious fug of smoke. Hi, you guys, that smells just like pot. Why are you smoking cannabis?
Hey, big up AD, yeah?
Hey, you, why are you smoking cannabis?
Oh, you smoke cannabis?
Yeah, why are you doing that?
The buzz in it is so good, bro.
Nah, man, it's good for my lungs.
Nice.
It's
Not at all good for your lungs. It's not good for your brains either. Addles your brains, that stuff does. Hey, you lot, somebody's dealing you that stuff, aren't they?
No. It don't matter, it don't matter.
Well, you didn't get it from nowhere. Somebody's dealing you.
Tony Blair's dealing this stuff, you don't know about that.
At least he's not doing that. So,
Tony Blair deals this stuff,
the police smokes it.
So somebody's dealing that stuff, and the person who's dealing that stuff to you is also you're coughing. You can't take that stuff.
Give us two drugs. No, but there's other drugs worse than this. You can't give us a whole speech about cannabis.
Oh, I can.
No, yeah, you can, but it don't matter though. This stuff ain't gonna kill me. It might rot my brain in the long run.
Hey, you guys, when you're congregated here in a doorway like this, smoking.
This is the block. BLOCK.
That's right. And what do you think? Do you think people feel afraid to come past you?
Yeah, they do. Because of what we're wearing and what we look like.
Now, do you like that?
No, I don't like that.
So what do you do? What do you do when they come?
We tell them what? We're not here to do nothing wrong. We tell them we're here to do nothing.
At this point, my eyes started to water from the marijuana smoke, so I thought it best to leave. What do you do when you find cannabis around?
Well, if let's say there was a group standing here and somebody had some cannabis on them, if we had an idea who it may be, then we would use our police powers and we would search whoever, and if we found it, we would then deal with it in the appropriate way.
What's the appropriate way?
The appropriate way these days, as long as they're an adult and there's nobody else being affected by it, we would seize the cannabis from them, we would give them a warning there and then, and get them to sign for that warning.
And if they were 15, 16, then what would you do?
They'd be arrested.
There are youth projects which do a great job getting young people off the streets into something constructive. Come on, let's see some football. This one, near the Andover Estate, is feeding lots of kids into the youth teams of top football clubs. Do you think that youngsters get an unduly bad press at the moment?
I think it's very hard. I think it's very hard for young people at the moment. Yes, I think they get bad press. I think you've got a group of young people who perhaps dress a certain way, and for that they are suddenly picked out, and maybe it's just to keep warm.
Why don't you tell me why you think this is an important project?
Because it keeps off the streets, keeps us out of trouble, keeps you from getting
occupied from 9-year-olds to
it gets us in the newspaper, well, me anyway.
Older.
Who have you been training with? Who have you been training with?
Who have I ever trained with? I've trained with some Real Madrid coach.
Really?
Yeah,
that's quite something, isn't it? Yeah. Next morning and it's time to move on. But it seems I've been a victim of antisocial behaviour myself. Well, there we go. This is what the citizens of this estate have to put up with. I suppose one should be grateful it landed on the car and not on me. Of course, it would help if there were cameras to keep an eye on things once the police have gone.
We have 2 cameras in Central Square. Unfortunately, neither of them work. But there's a massive redevelopment going on the estate at the minute. And the final part of that is the security works. And the CCTV is going to be addressed with that particular section of works.
How long have they been out of action?
Quite a few months.
More than 18 months, in fact, during which time kids have attacked each other and there have been muggings and drug dealing. Everywhere I've been on this estate, the first things that come out of people's mouths are the words antisocial behaviour. It does seem to me a rather surprising state of affairs that you've got at a place where people are in fear and they can't rely on CCTV.
Well, CCTV is not the whole of the answer, but it is part of the answer, and that's why we're investing to improve the quality of CCTV across this estate.
Why is it taking 20 months to get it working?
Well, the cameras are working, but you're right. There's an issue about what actually they show.
I entirely concur. There isn't any argument that not every group of young people who's standing around with hoods on is a danger to society. But there is on this estate still a lot of feeling of being unprotected. For example, there's no security on the place after midnight.
I'd encourage you to put these points to the government as well, because in a sense we do what we can with the resources that we have. Everything we spend on this estate comes from either government grant or the rents that the people who live here pay. So we do the best that we can with the money that we've got.
And I do plan to challenge the government on just that. But that's it for me on the Andover. If you thought that was bad, wait till you see the next estate in South London, the Myatts Fields, where fireworks are regularly used as missiles. They can't arrest the culprits because the CCTV cameras are burnt out. They found guns hidden near the kids' nurseries and the youngsters regularly play up.
I just don't go out. I mean, I'm frightened to go out.
I really, really do feel abandoned and ashamed to actually live on this estate.
Crack dens are rife. You've been using crack, yeah?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Of course I use.
You do?
Yeah.
And you've been doing it today, haven't you?
No.
You know it's illegal.
I know.
And even the police feel uneasy.
I mean, I find it quite intimidating sometimes as a police officer walking through, and I'm sure you do, Alan.
So in the next programme, I see for myself the antisocial behaviour residents have to put up with. They let a firework off fractionally before you came.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, when we were filming about 2 minutes ago, before you came, they set a firework off. Yeah.
Not good, Rand.
Okay, thank you.
Ann Widdecombe reporting. In her next film, she invites the government to respond to her criticisms that they aren't doing enough to fight back against antisocial behaviour. And there is more information on our website at itv.com/tonight. We're back next Friday at 8 o'clock. Until then, from all of us here, goodbye and thank you for joining us.
Coming next, it might be the end for Charlie, but it's only just beginning for Tracy. She might want to get her story straight.